Hey everybody, Courtney here with Courtney Harms Yoga and Fitness. We're going to be doing a relatively challenging flow, but I'll also offer lots of options, different variations to make it easier and or more challenging. Do sit tall, using props to your advantage. If you've got yoga blocks, yoga bolsters, great. But if you need to get creative, look around, find things from the couch, your bedroom, whatever you need, such as pillows, blankets, etc. Root to rise, maybe close your eyes. Dropping in. Whatever you have going on, giving yourself permission to, in a sense, let it go for now. Turning to the simplicity of your breath. Giving yourself permission to just feel what it is to come back toward a state of balance. Maybe growing just a little bit taller on the inhales. Relaxing, choosing to let go with your exhales. Starting with the basics and of course evolving over time, but giving yourself permission to come back to those basics at any time. Inhaling, shrug. Shoulder rolling, exhale, release. Eyes open or close. Feel what's best for you right now. Taking an internal or external drishti, this idea of a soft gaze that helps us to focus. Without hardening or gripping, it is different than staring. In moments when your balance is physically challenging, finding something that is not moving. And start to arch and round, inhaling. Exhaling. Using this physical drishti as a way to move a little deeper toward your intention. What do you really need from your practice right now? And think of inviting it in to your being, to your body, with each inhale. And then in a sense, clearing the stuff sitting around it with each exhale. The doubt, the fear, those thoughts that tend to creep in more than maybe we'd like them to. Rocking right to left for the next breath or two. Brighten the toes, maybe tighten the crossing. From Sukhasana, Sufi circles, taking it forward and around, and then back and around. Inhaling. Exhaling. Easing into your body. Connecting with each breath. You can reverse more than once based on what you're feeling. Add a repetition or two or three based on what you're feeling. Maybe rock and sway your way back toward neutral. Weaving in anything we've done thus far, or simply sitting tall, rooting and rebounding. Inhale, growing just a little bit taller over time. Exhaling, connecting from front to back. Feeling this idea of softening, surrendering, one more big breath. Switching up the crossing. Whether that's the first or second time, rock, sway, forward and back, right, left. Let that evolve into your Sufi grinds, circling it out, inhaling and exhaling. Going faster or slower than what I'm doing. If you're practicing with someone, then what they're doing. Yoga is not about comparing or competing. Being inspired by each other, being encouraged by one another. But really getting out of this idea of having to be as good as. There is such a thing as competitive yoga, but I am not a big fan. That's a discussion for a different time. Allowing yourself to connect back to your breath, your intention. Noting in what we have as the original text, the origins of yoga, is very much about not being in that ego mindset. Feeling what it is to connect. Yoga meaning union, to yoke. Feeling that support, that integration with nature, animals, other human beings. Pushing forward, find your way to all fours. You can always swing legs around. Take a few breaths here in a basic table. Rock and sway. Eventually allowing yourself to slide the hands forward, hips back. Anahata Asana, referencing the heart chakra opening shape. Elbows ground for today, palms come together, and let's stretch out that space around the outer upper shoulders, the back body. Maybe you feel it more in the triceps, the neck. Breathing in, breathing out. Take another moment just to be here. Soften the feet, relax the ankles if you have. And even sigh if it's effective. Drop the arms. Climbing your way up again to all fours. Curl the toes, lift your hips, push back, downward facing dog. Little wiggle and sway. Some calf stretching, some foot stretching. Lingering where you feel like you need to, trusting in that intuitive wisdom. And if you're a seasoned yogi, using that experience to your advantage. If you're newer, backing off when in doubt, maybe resting on the knees. I talked about Anahata, but of course, Balasana or child's pose, also an offering. Knees wide, toes together, arms forward or back. Breathing in, breathing out, taking a few cycles or a few minutes when you need that. Rejoining me, rejoining the collective, the sequence at any point. Not feeling like you have to keep up. This is not boot camp or anything similar. Even if there are poses like plank, right? It is not boot camp. Speaking of, let's walk our way into it. Shoulders over wrists, stepping our way back, plank or a modified plank on knees. Rock and sway, forward, back, right, left for another breath or two. 5, 10, 15 seconds or so, just being here. Traps back, heart forward. And that's in addition, of course, to the first 5, 10, 15 that you are already in it. Exhale, do pull to dog, pushing back, downward facing, Adho Mukha. Do take it forward, find your way to a plank on your inhale. Knees can come down or keep thighs lifted. Exhale, lower halfway, elbows grazing the ribs. Push it up, plank or modified plank. Take it back, hips do stay high. Release the head either way, puppy dog, down dog, whatever you need. Flowing over the next few breaths, noting it is a 2 to 3 breath series, if you will. Yoga style push up from plank, we lower. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, we take it back. If we need the extra breath, all good. 2, 3, 4 more on your own. Finding that balance of strength and flexibility. Maybe more importantly, effort and ease. In Sanskrit, stiram, sukham, asana. Eventually walking hands to toes. Give your head a little shake. Yes, no, anything that feels like a maybe so. Now I've got hands on ankles, the lower calves to be clear, pulling myself in ever so slightly without force. Letting the crown reach down, the sit bones lift up. And if your heels got heavy, as they often do, rock a little forward. If you tend to sit to the insides or outsides of your feet, find that happy medium. Think of the 4 corners grounding you, the big and little toe joints, the inner and outer heels. The arches, the ankles, the quads, lifting, shy of jamming the knees or clawing the toes, feeling that fine line. And then from here, hands on hips. Lift halfway and pause. Exhaling, navel to spine. Rooting and rebounding, inhale, come all the way up. Take a shoulder roll or two, maybe alternating which shoulder you do. Taking it back, forward, both. And then that traditional roll, shrugging, releasing, hands spinning, so palms are turning forward. Shoulder heads are pressing back. Inviting in a little peace finger action, feeling this sense of stacking ankles, knees, hips. Feeling that travel up through the belly, the heart, stacking shoulders, the neck, the top of your head. Allowing the natural curves to exist without exploiting them. With each exhale, can you feel that support from front to back, that integration through the core of you? And we will bring in some breath of fire early on, Kapalabhati Pranayam. Talked about spring cleaning lately, getting things moving where we need. It's actually storming outside on this Easter weekend. So especially good right now. I'm gonna bring one hand to the belly, one to the heart. You can always change it up as needed. Fill yourself up, and then the sense of drawing the navel in and up until you're empty. Could be as few as 10, 12 pumps, as many as 30, 40, 50 or so. As you're ready, inhale. Not overthinking it. If that means not counting, don't count. Switching which hands where, or perhaps taking arms up, folding the fingers in, thumbs traditionally wrapping around fingers. And by traditionally, I mean in practices like Kundalini, Tantra, different styles of yoga. Pumping the belly as you are ready, waking things up a little more. Digestive fire from the inside out. Relaxing for a moment, arms come down, the chin's gonna drop down. Circling your head and neck with me, half, 3/4, or all of the way. Breathing in, breathing out. Inviting that stuff that is not serving you to go. Whether that's physical stuff, certain thoughts, replacing that with a certain mantra, phrase that is helpful. It doesn't mean that we are avoiding. Instead, doing what we can to refocus, to reset, to confront, and eventually let go. Roll it up. Maybe incorporate the horse breath here, fluttering it all out. Inviting stuff again up and out. Shedding layers, maybe even a sweatshirt, socks if you're wearing them. Getting into our half sun salutations with this idea of shifting perspective or getting more open-minded when needed. Starting facing the way you are. And if the space you're in practicing yoga allows, we'll do quarter turns, if you will, along the way. So to be clear, reach it up. Swan diving or arms through the midline. Take it down. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, let it go. Inhaling, full lift. Exhaling, hands to your heart. As mentioned, maybe that quarter turn or just repeating the half salute. You reach and you fold. You expand and you contract. Inhale and exhale. Again, quarter turn, reach up. Swan diving, take it down. Inhaling, chest out. Exhaling, fold in. Inhaling, reach. Exhaling, release. If you're with me, that quarter turn or just continuing on, 2 more. Ardha your Namaskar, allowing that stuff that needs to be shed to go. Especially in springtime, thinking of the shift. Sloughing skin. Cleaning, releasing, shedding that stuff that is no longer serving you. And when you do rise or complete your half salute and bring it to mountain, stand tall, hands maybe at the heart center or back to your own body, the belly, the chest, whatever works. Breathing in, breathing out, feel that sense of space across the chest, the heart. Feel that stabilization in the shoulder blades, the scapula. And be a little more integration, connection through the core of you. Not hardening, but allowing. 1 more breath in. And 1 more breath out. Chin to chest. Circling the head and neck once again by using that heat from the half salutes. And maybe you do go a little further. I just heard a little pop. Don't force those things, but let them happen. Part of that idea of detoxification, releasing, letting our body do what it needs to, often by just allowing, creating a little space. Whether it's by taking a walk, practicing yoga, whatever allows you to calm the nervous system. Bring the head, the neck back to neutral again, peace finger style, or a little stillness. Lick your lips, swallow. Consider a lion's roar, scrunch the face. Sticking out the tongue, maybe look up once again, deep breath in. And you can add those arms if they're effective. 1 more if you're with me. Hands on hips, lift the heart. Hinging forward, elbows drawing in back, and you fold. Slide the hands down toward the feet. Maybe shake your head all yes, no. And take a slow walk to get to a down dog. If, like me, you need a little sip of water, you need to shed a layer or 2, you do. Calf stretching, neck stretching, maybe that brief child's pose as an alternative. Or even something like dolphin on the forearms. Similar to down dog, but maybe easier if the wrists or fingers are tender. Last moments here, big sigh, or again, that lion's roar. Take it to plank. Knees up or down, not about pushing up. Instead, lowering through chaturanga, taking it all the way down. Slide the feet back, reach the arms forward, some strength building here. Again, good for the core, your digestive system, helping things function efficiently. Root the feet, the pubic bone, and rise. Inhaling, float it up. I'm working into the cactus shape arms. Exhale, take it down, forehead grabs. Outer ankles hug in, tops of feet root. Inhale, float up. Exhale, take it down. Keep going, inhaling. Exhaling, can you brighten fingers? Can you feel prana, life force flowing into all parts of you? Toes. Again, fingers, 1 more time, just like that. And then 2, turn to 1 ear at a time. Maybe windshield wiper legs and or just wiggle hips. Spin to the other ear at some point. Easing our way back to neutral, hands outside the mid to floating ribs. Ground down to lift up, finding Urdhva Mukha, upward facing dog. Letting your belly, your heart expand. Backing off to cobra if that's enough. And then maybe using the knees or pushing right over your feet. Easing to down dog. Or as mentioned, something like dolphin. I will demo if you need that. Nickname for dolphins diving through the waves, which we see a lot of in California, especially here in Santa Barbara. But if it's less familiar, right, hips up, crown of the head drops down. If you feel ridiculous calling it dolphin, well, here we are, right? Have your sense of humor take over a little bit. That's good for you. Bringing it all forward, let's find our way to plank, or as needed, forearm plank, prone. Exhaling for most of us, lowering halfway, maybe still all of the way. Shift the heart forward, reach the tops of the feet, the tailbone back, cobra or up dog. Eventually pushing over the toes, exhaling toward down dog. One more with me, building some heat. Integrating breath and movement consciously. Eventually high onto the balls of your feet. Looking toward hands, walk, step, or jump. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, root and rise. Exhale, hands do release. Observing. Take that moment, balancing effort, ease. Dropping certain expectations, giving yourself permission to be less than perfect. If needed, feet closer or further apart based on what feels stable. Surya Namaskara A, our full sun salutation when you're ready. Inhaling. Swan diving or hands through the midline. Exhaling. Inhale, heart forward. Stepping or floating it back. Easing toward chaturanga, this idea of stick pose, one long line. Cobra, thighs would stay grounded. Up dog, thighs lift. Exhale, down dog, or an alternative. Next few breaths are yours. Wiggling it out, sighing it out, doing what feels right. I've mentioned a few pranayama options, the more traditional being ocean-sounding breaths. Ujjayi, or victory breath. Pranayama specifically being the idea of retention and extension of life force. Gazing forward, stepping or floating to that spot. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold in all of the way. Inhaling it up. Exhaling, hands down. Again, we inhale, reach, stretching through the skin, life force flowing. Exhaling, dive. Same idea even as things get harder, especially when they get harder. Inhale, chest out. Other foot can lead or both legs can jump if it's familiar. Exhaling, chaturanga if you haven't. Inhaling toward your heart opener, your back bend. Exhaling toward your forward bend, something as simple as resting on the knees. Big toes can touch, knees can be as wide as the mat. And if you need a little sip of water, shed a layer, do. We tend to build heat throughout the practice and then we cool down toward the end as we slow the flow. So finding your way into what supports you in this change of the seasons, what feels right depending on what time of day you happen to be practicing. The sister science, the sister philosophy, Ayurveda talks a lot about changing up our approach based on it being winter, spring, summer, fall, based on the age we are or how we're feeling that day. Really all of the above, even these ideas of dosha as different personality traits, different ways of being in the world. Looking at hands, step or hop, inhale, heart forward. Exhale, release. Rise to stand, we're back in mum. Hands will come down. Pausing with thumb somewhere around the sternum. Press the whole hand or just finger pats. And do take an inhale here. Exhale, tip the right ear to the right. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, tip the left ear left. Let's keep the hands at the heart, making sure it feels good, sustainable. And we'll do that one more time. Traps melting down, sternum lifting up. Bring the head, the neck back to neutral. Let your hands come back down by your hips. Fingers spinning forward, shoulder heads pressing back. Maybe shrug, release, alternating, or both simultaneously. If you can't choose, 1, 2, 3 of each. No big deal, mixing it up. Inhale, reach. Right hand to left wrist, side stretching. Using some of that heat, that space Taking it a bit further, looking up, even crossing the foot over. Last moments here, choosing what works for you. You'll unwind, you'll release. I'm bringing arms down for a moment. Shoulder roll, alternate it, whatever works. Side two, if you're not there already. Might feel like a different body. You might take a very different choice, a different approach. Breathing in, breathing out. What do you need right now? And again, we ease toward neutral. Tailbone lengthens, sternum lifts, big inhale. Exhale, dive. Inhale, heart forward, demoing the jump back, step or float. Root and rise, cobra or up dog. Push back, exhaling, down dog. Right leg will reach, stretch it up to the sky. Wiggle into those toes, get into the ankle, the knee. I'm going to do some figure eights. You can join me in that hip. Maybe you want to change things up. And after a few breaths on your own, do take it to side two. Left leg lifts, down dog split. Easing into the toes, the ankle, maybe the knee, the hip. And I talked about those figure eights, joining me or changing things up accordingly. Are you still breathing, most importantly? Feet come down, walking hands to toes, back of the mat. Slide your hands behind your head and neck, give it a little massage. Staying here a little longer, take a few breaths before you roll it up. Feet can always go wider, knees can be springier. Good time to lick your lips, swallow, even flutter things out, horse style exhale. And if you haven't already, inhaling to roll your way to stand. Big exhale or two as you ease back to mountain. We're going to step wide. Grabbing onto blocks if you know you're a little tight. Having them in front of you. Feet are about 1 meter apart. A little shy of that if you are petite, if that feels best. Lifting through the heart center, inhale. Hinging at the hips, we exhale. Kind of hands on the earth, the blocks, whatever works. Inhale, chest out. With the exhale, just melt in. Take a few of these, integrating breath, movement consciously. The idea behind Vinyasa Yoga, the flow style, the combo of Ashtanga, Iyengar, if you want to get specific. Incorporating alignment, but also this feel-good flow. Letting the breath be the priority. Now next time we lengthen everything out, walk both hands to the right. If you need the blocks, bring them with you. Shift your hips a little left, spring and ease, and melt your way down. Toes still reaching forward, inner thighs rolling back. Linger a little longer, the subtle twist. Allowing that to happen on the out breath. Coming through neutral, you can always use the blocks, walking them left. Or if my mirroring you confused ya, switching whichever way you didn't do. Knees are springy. Melting, twisting over time. Toes reaching forward, inner thighs spiraling back. Dropping the stuff not serving you. And finally easing to neutral again, lengthen everything out, hand, fingertips, blocks, little combo. Exhale, folding in. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Really clearing the belly, the expectations you may have shown up with. Drop the head. Maybe use your block or two to allow the crown to release down. Quads getting straighter, sit bones lifting up. And if tripod headstand feels good right now, go for it. If that seems far out of reach, don't. Head on the earth, heels to the sky for just a breath, 2, 3 at most. And then when you do come down, exhale it out. You can always bring blocks behind the ankles for where we're headed. Hands on hips, elbows toward the sky. Pause it halfway. Connect the core of you. Feel that integration. Inhale, rise. And exhale, relax. Triangle, half moon, playful offerings, but just that, not obligations. Turn the right leg out. I am mirroring you for now. Once those toes are tracking straight ahead, spin the back toes, back ankle, knee, hip in, making sure that we're able to really create space in the lower back. It is really about one hip, one inner thigh opening at a time. Arms can reach wide now or as you shift. Next few breaths, bringing yourself in, classic triangle, Uttita Trikonasana. Fingers bright, prana flowing. Maybe root that big right toe, the inner and outer edge of the back foot, and lean your way back. Scoop the bottom ribs forward. Think of that side bend you were just in from mountain. Moving toward half moon, springy bottom knee. The block on its highest height will be helpful. Back foot slides in and up. Only moving it out of the way if it feels like it's shortchanging you. Can always let that bottom hand get light. Lifted leg gets a little more active and energized. Maybe it stays straight and strong. If you're struggling with your balance like I am, that could be enough. Once you catch your balance, you could always take the gaze forward or up, and or catch the top ankle. Get into that quad, that hip flexor, or the heart center for another breath or two. Tailbone still reaching back, sternum forward. Now finding triangle, come on down. Opening the heart, the side body up. I'm going to look down to stand up. You might find that helpful. Inhaling and exhaling. If you need it, bring the block with you. If it's already there, groovy. Left leg turns out, or whichever one you didn't do. Right foot, ankle, knee, hip, all spin in. Somewhere on that diagonal angle, feel what's needed for this front inner thigh, hip, groin. Shifting, come on down. If the arms have yet to open up, let them. Uttita Trikonasana, the classical triangle shape. Standing knee is not jammed, the quad is lifted, maybe the knee bends a little more to help. Feeling that difference. Looking down when in doubt, especially in the in-between. Breathing through whatever wobbles, unexpected stuff comes your way. Practicing it on the mat so it is a little easier out in the world. Taking that time to make that shift. If you're over-caffeinated or just a little extra wobbly, extending extra compassion to yourself today. Little adjustments of the standing leg, maybe big adjustments of the lifted leg. Firming it up and or bending the knee and allowing the quad, the hip flexor, the heart center to be challenged and also opened up a little more. Tailbone still lengthening, sternum reaching. Where can you soften? Find the sukha. Is there a spot you need to wake up? Find the sthira. Stepping to triangle for a breath. 2. Gazing down might be most effective for balance. And then eventually inhaling, standing up. Letting that go physically, intellectually, emotionally. Heel-toeing feet toward each other. Step, hop the last bit. Hands to your heart or maybe to your own being. Resting them on the energy centers as is helpful. Do consider licking your lips, swallowing. An animal-inspired exhale or 2, horse breath, lion's roar, for example. I'll do one of each. Soft face, soft jaw. Ujjayi pranayama, ocean sounding breaths. Coming back to the top of the mat or facing whichever way you'd like. Maybe changing it up is a good way to shift perspective, especially if the room you're in allows for that comfortably. Having at least a block toward the top of the mat here. 2 if you know you're relatively stiff and wanting both to frame the front foot. Right foot stays, left foot steps back, pyramid shape. Hands to hips, about a yard to a meter between the front heel and the back heel, a few inches as far as the width. Inhale. Exhale, fold about halfway and do pause. Check yourself. Re-square the pelvis if that got lost. Take another inhale. Exhale, reaching to the earth. The block or blocks. Maybe shake the head yes, shake the head no. Option to flex the right foot, even prop it up with the short edge of a block, the block. And take the next few breaths, making it your own. Any ebb and flow. Any choice to just linger. But do not grin and bear it. Make it work in a way where you can breathe. You can let the mind come back to your intention as opposed to just thinking about how uncomfortable the shape itself is. Big exhale. Keeping the right foot tracking forward. Bringing that block to the inside or outside of that right foot. And we're going to rise to stand for twisted triangle. Left arm reaches. Again, fold about a third or halfway down. Inhale, waking things up from the front to the back. Keeping that as you exhale, start to revolve. Hand to the inside or outside. Rooting and rebounding, take a few breaths here. The head, the shoulders may need to lean back. The bottom waist scoops forward and up. Are you still breathing? If not, start again. One more inhale. Exhale, release, returning to that fold for just a moment. Rolling or lengthening, bring it up. Let it out, back foot steps forward. Left foot tracking forward, right foot stepping back. Re-squaring to the front of the mat, inhale at the top. Exhale, fold about halfway. Inhale, do get long through the front, sides, and back. Bring that with you as you melt, whether that's to the block, the earth, using 1, 2, getting creative as needed. Could be a surprise for good or for bad, depending on how it feels. Embracing what is, take a few more cycles just to ease deeper. And a few more cycles to let it all happen. Not forcing that same approach, but finding a similar shape if it's effective. Linger a little longer if this is the side that needs that time, that space, that love, that light. Prana, as we reference it. And eventually preparing for Parivrtta Trikonasana from standing today. Root and rise, take it slow. A couple of breaths to adjust, to ease in, letting the exhale help in that revolving process. Reaching to the inside or more challenging outside of the foot. Top arm expands. Inhale, get long. Exhale, wrap the bottom ribs forward and through. You may have to lean the head back and let the heart, the bottom ribs come forward. Last breath, spirit fingers if you need that reminder. Declaw mode. And then we melt, we surrender. Lengthening or rolling, you'll eventually inhale. And exhale. Back foot can step forward. Clearing anything that's in your way, returning to Tadasana. Hands moving to Anjali Mudra, that prayer-inspired shape at the heart. Realigning, stacking feet, ankles, knees, hips. Letting that lift travel into the belly, the heart, the crown of your head. Putting in the effort, the stira. Coming back to the sukha, the ease. Extending compassion where you need it most. And letting that personal practice extend both internally and externally. Big inhale. And exhale. Take the arms up. Swan diving, or again, hands to the midline, take it down. Inhale, heart forward. One more time, stepping or jumping, your choice, chaturanga. Inhaling toward cobra or up dog. Exhaling, you can push to a down dog or join me right away in child's pose. Knees as wide as feels good, big toes together. When you come down, reminder that your arms can be forward. They could also drift back sooner than later. If you're craving more heat, this is where you throw in 2-3 vinyasas, playing chaturanga, up dog, down dog instead of resting. Either way, do bring the mind's eye to your intention, your sankalpa. Can you imagine breathing that into your being? Breathing out the stuff sitting around, that thought, that feeling, that inspiration. Simplifying when things feel a little overly complicated. Maybe just returning to that rise and that fall of the breath. I've been using a mantra along the lines of I am inhaling, I am exhaling. One more moment, a cycle of breath or two on your own. Early on, I talked about dolphin. Taking that in a way that opens your chest, the heart center. If you've been feeling down, overwhelmed, it may help. Interlacing fingers. Draw the belly in as you breathe out. Curl the toes, lift your hips, stretch back. On dolphin, we can just stretch, yawn, hold, and breathe. We could also add a leg lift, a little extra core work, coming toward a prone variation, plank dolphin, if you will. Maybe you want to weave in Sphinx and a heart opener. Arms can splay wide or they can stay as they were. Returning to either variation. And or considering getting upside down, maybe using a wall if you're near one. Talking about the easiest approach, tripod headstand. Could also go into it from Shirshasana if that's familiar, similar setup to where you just were. For tripod, we want to allow our hands to be about 6, 7, 8 inches back from the crown. Bringing the very top of your head to the earth. Centimeter or 2 from the floorboard if the wall is helpful. Again, 6, 7, 8 inches from your fingertips, the length of your upper arm bone. Knees come to those triceps, hugging the elbows gently in. Everything's about shoulder width, realigned as needed. Let this be enough for us to descend the hips up. Maybe they gently graze the wall. Slide the heels up, breathing in, breathing out. Taking 5, 10, closer to 15 breaths if you're feeling pretty comfortable. Maybe a little more hip opening, letting heels slide wide. Or something like Baddha Konasana, joining soles of feet. If you're doing this in the middle of the room, wonderful. Just note that it is normal to feel nervous. If it's too much on the head, the neck, backing out of it sooner than later. Changing things up through any playful movements, stagging, for example, splitting if you're away from the wall. And when you do come down, keep the head below the heart. Puppy dog, child's pose, downward facing sooner than later if you'd like. Taking what you need for another minute or so. Enjoying the movement, not forcing things. Letting these be options, not obligations. Eventually letting yourself move to the knees. On crisscrossing legs. And then returning to Sukhasana. Taking a few easy circles, excuse me, Sufi grinds each way. Inhale and exhale. Joining me at any point, no rush. Reversing direction more than once if that's what's needed. Wanted is a better word at this point. Switching the crossing if you haven't, similar idea. Maybe starting the way you often don't. Finding that physical balance and let it make its impression on those deeper layers, those deeper levels of you. Talking about the subtle body, the stuff that might not be as cerebral but equally important. And following those Sufi circles, we'll ease our way down to our back. Right into a gentle bridge on the block. Lift the pelvis, supporting the very base of your spine. Arms relaxing, legs reaching, or sticking with the bridge if it's enough. This could also be done at the wall. Viparita Karani as an option, an alternative. Any splitting of the legs or lingering as you are. 5, 10, 15 plus breaths in total. If you want a little longer here, linger. Otherwise, start to drop the knees toward the belly and circle gently on the block. Teeny tiny movements to melt those tender areas around the sciatic nerve. Right knee in, left leg long, lingering on that block or taking this on the mat if you don't have one. Firm pillow could also do the trick. After a breath or two, draw both knees in, switch it up. When in doubt, hands low or down the shin. And then eventually we'll slide both heels long if that works for you. You could also just lie with knees bent, feet flat. Arms could reach back, side or forward. Everything can flop and open up, or you can keep more of a specific flexion of the feet. What does your lower back need that complement the rest of the body, the rest of your efforting? Soothing the belly, the lungs, one more breath. Easing on down, take yourself to the back body. Windshield wiper it out a few times. Inhaling neutral, exhale one way. Inhale neutral, exhale the other. Next time the knees move right, I'm going to stay put. While tucking up the chin, lengthening the neck, right foot can move to the left thigh. Take the arms back, let the right hand gently pull on the left wrist. Knees pointing forward, arms again reaching back, maybe tip the head left. Letting your knees fall forward and right. And after a good minute or so, you'll take your time to make your way to side 2. No rushing it, however, lingering as much as is helpful here. Big muscles being confronted, sometimes big emotions being confronted. Breathing through it, allowing for the laughter, the tears that might arise. Not stuffing things back down, letting them come up and out. And if it feels more subtle than that, all good as well. Left foot eventually ends up on that right thigh if it's working. If it's too much, backing off. Arms reaching, left hand gently pulling on the right wrist. Maybe tipping the head to the right as your knees move further forward and left. And just letting it happen. happen. Whatever is moving, great. Feels a little stuck. Perhaps your yogi's choice informs you confronting and releasing the stuff still lingering. While we've taken a nice long practice today, doesn't mean it's long enough. You might need another 5, 10, 15 minutes even as I wrap it up. Easing out of that twist, I'm going to talk you through feet wide, knees together. And the last couple things leading up to Shavasana. And you might need more or less. Letting this be your time, your practice. Being curious, playful, but also very protective of your well-being. Baddha Konasana, butterfly. With that in mind, maybe using blocks under the outer thighs, the head, the heart center. Any combination of several props. And this can evolve right into Shavasana, the full relaxation. Or of course that yogi's and yogini's choice as mentioned. Maybe lick your lips, swallow. And let yourself let go on a deeper level. Thank you so much for joining me. Shavasana. As long as you need. Maybe close with the Om, or anything that allows you to integrate and receive the benefits of the work. Namaste.